Hello, everyone, and welcome into another edition in our series of location-specific webinars. My name is Tyler DeVici. I am one of the admissions advisors here with CRCC Asia, and this evening I am going to be speaking to you about our Osaka internship program. So what I will be doing is going through a variety of information pertaining to our CRCC Asia internship program as a whole, and then of course focusing in specifically on Osaka, talking about things with the placement opportunities in Osaka, the accommodation, things that are included, all in that program price. And of course, overviewing our internship program as a whole, talking about the program events and the placement processes, on the ground support, and all of that good stuff. But of course, if there is anything that I miss throughout the presentation, those of you who are joining me this evening, feel free to drop a question in the chat bar. I do have the chat open in, so I am able to view those questions. So feel free to drop anything. I will answer them if I am able to see it. So what I do want to do really quickly is share my screen with you so that you are able to see my presentation I have put together on Osaka. So here we go. And yeah, basically, so thank you all again for joining me today. I'm really excited to speak with you about Osaka. This is actually the first summer that we are running our Osaka internship. So we are all thrilled to have our first program launching this June, and June 27th is going to be our start date for Osaka. So a lot of excellent things that have been planned. And of course, our Osaka team is working vigilantly to prepare themselves for this summer. And I am very excited again to speak with you more about our internship opportunities in Osaka. And I guess just kind of starting with some general information on why it is beneficial to complete an internship abroad, and then we will kind of jump into specifically Osaka. But one of the first things that I definitely like to tell people whenever they ask me, hey, why should I do an internship abroad? And I like to kind of talk about the ability to gain a new perspective. Now, of course, if you've done internships in your home country in the past, obviously that's excellent experience, and that's really going to be something that you're going to be able to build your resume with. But partaking in an international internship, or even just an international opportunity in general, really allows you to kind of step outside of your comfort zone. Maybe this is the first time you're leaving your home country, or maybe even your hometown. And this is the first time you're really kind of stepping away from that and experiencing a completely new culture, a completely new language, and again, a completely new business culture with the internship. And again, allowing yourself that chance to kind of put yourself out there, get out of your comfort zone, and really open your eyes to that new perspective and see how countries such as Japan operates their business sector or their IT sector or healthcare, things like that. All of these wonderful things will help you to build a global perspective and will definitely be beneficial to you down the line if you do hope to eventually start, a global career. And of course, another pretty obvious one, but very important, is the ability to develop on your global network. So if you've ever spoken to any career coaching or any of your past managers, of course, when it comes to things like internships and careers and interviews, one of the biggest things you will hear is things like networking and your global network, and what that really means in terms of building relationships with people and having connections. And in a lot of industries, it really isn't what you know, it's who you know. And this is the way of the world. And partaking in an international internship, allowing you to step into a foreign company and develop new connections with a new group of people, coworkers, your manager, your mentors, allowing you to really kind of build on that network, meeting other interns who are motivated individuals and are also partaking in similar activities, really just allows you to, again, build that network and connect with them on LinkedIn, and really kind of setting yourself up for the pathway into what might be a very successful future career, people who might write you recommendation letters and references down the line. And of course, it's very important to create those relationships in the first place, and an international internship is an excellent way to do that. Another very obvious one is just expanding on your resume, your CV. So of course, adding international internship experience to a resume is a great way to kind of spice up your resume. Again, if you have a lot of experience in your home country or your home sector, of course, those are wonderful. But when you go to apply for a job and your hiring manager looks at your resume and sees, a tech internship in Osaka, Japan, this is something that they probably don't see every day. It really is going to kind of stand out to them, and really is kind of makes your resume that much more attractive. It's also a great talking point on your end. If you're doing an interview, people are going to ask you, oh, you did an internship in an engineering firm in Osaka, Japan. What was that like? Tell me what led you to even do that program in the first place. What did you learn? What was your favorite part about living in Osaka? These are just really great talking points for you. And again, a really great way to kind of make your resume that much better. And this could potentially lead to that dream job, and then obviously you'll be very thankful that you took the opportunity to do that internship in Osaka or any other location that we do offer here with CRCC Asia. And another very important aspect, of course, kind of on the personal level, is that growth and that independence that will come with an international internship opportunity. Of course, the networking is very important, the resume is very important, and the skills and experience that you do gain in that internship are very, very important. But in my opinion, equally important is that personal growth and you kind of experiencing again that that new culture for 1, 2, or 3 months, stepping far outside your comfort zone. Maybe this is the first time you're by yourself. You will learn a lot about yourself. You will grow a lot as a person. And in doing so and in experiencing that completely new world, you are really going to reap a lot of rewards in the future. It's really going to allow you to kind of adapt. And these are very important skills when it comes to a job. How do you adapt to new challenges? How do you face uncertainty? How do you kind of just work to overcome things that might be unexpected? All of these you can experience and practice in terms of going in on an international internship opportunity with CRCC Asia. Now, jumping more specifically into reasons to intern in Osaka, talking to you a little bit more about the city of Osaka, kind of where it stands in terms of the overall sector, the overall spectrum of Japan as a whole. I guess beginning with a little bit of background information on Osaka. So when we talk about Osaka, Osaka is actually one of the prefectures in Japan, but we're specifically focusing in on the city Osaka, which is the capital of the greater prefecture of Osaka, located right next to Kyoto, which is actually the ancient capital of Japan. Basically served as the capital for well over 1,000 years until it was eventually moved to now Tokyo. And the Osaka-Kyoto area sit a little bit southwest of Tokyo, more kind of central to Japan. And Osaka definitely has a very interesting history. It's historically been a merchant city, as it is located in a port, so the Osaka Bay area. There's a lot of waterways running through the city, so of course it was very accessible for traders and merchants in feudal times and Edo period. So it kind of developed this interesting notion of Japan's kitchen when you had a lot of different types of people and foods and recipes coming through the city, which now exists today. A lot of the street food, it's really kind of the place where a lot of people go to experience some wonderful, wonderful food in Japan. Things like ramen and takoyaki and okonomiyaki, which we will talk about a little bit more. And obviously, these are excellent things that you want to experience while you are in Osaka. And a very kind of interesting notion that a lot of people in Japan describe people from Osaka as the most outgoing in Japan. They tend to be very, not necessarily lazy, but just more laid back. They kind of understand that balance and that harmony of work, but also inner peace and of course, having fun as well. And when you talk about Osaka, you're technically talking about what's known as the Keihanshin metro area, which basically encompasses the cities of Osaka, Kyoto, and also Kobe, which kind of together make up about 20 million people. So while, of course, Osaka, a lot of people don't think about it as large of a city as, say, the Tokyo metropolitan area, it's technically not, but it is still a massive metropolitan area. And with that large sector, all of those people, the consumerism, we do find a lot of excellent placements in things like engineering, green technology, healthcare, and pharmaceuticals. Of course, not limited to these specific sectors, but these are kind of the ones we tend to see the strongest placements in. But of course, through our program, we are able to facilitate you in any sector. We will talk about that a little bit more later in the presentation. And this is just a brief little diagram of what I was talking about when I was saying the Osaka prefecture. This photo on the right here, you will see this is the total Osaka prefecture. And then you have this part here, this purple part, which is actually this image. This is the Osaka city area. It is located pretty much on the left side, again, right next to the water of the prefecture, and is cut into 24 wards, similar to Tokyo, each ward having its own kind of identity and different draws to them. For example, you have such as the Chuo ward here in the middle, this pink area. This is where the Osaka Castle is located. It's also where the Dotonbori downtown kind of shopping area is located. But of course, as you walk around, the Osaka city, going out to some of these outer sectors, outer wards, there's a lot of wonderful kind of hidden gems to see, little shrines and parks and fun restaurants. Of course, would encourage you to get out there and explore more about the city if you are in Osaka for your internship. Now, this diagram in particular, I do think needs a little bit of explanation, but basically what it's showing is currently Japan is actually facing a pretty big demographic crisis. Their birth rates are at an all-time low, and with that, there is basically an aging population that in the next 100 years, as you can see by this diagram, is set to have a massive decline. What you want to focus in on this diagram is this light pink area, which basically represents people aged 15 to 64, which I guess we would consider to be working age. Although in Japan, people do work a lot older than some areas of the world, basically what it's saying is that Japan in the next 100 years, and even the next 30 years, is going to have a huge need for foreign workers. And actually right now the Japanese government is taking a good hard look at different visas and different categories of visas that they can create to try to attract different foreign workers in different areas, whether they be professors or tradesmen or engineers, because again, with this demographic crisis, there is a huge need for workers to become coming into Japan from other countries. So what this means for you is if you're somebody who's considering a future career in Japan, if you're looking to maybe start your career after school in Japan, an international internship, say in Osaka or even Tokyo, is an excellent opportunity for you to kind of take that first step and really taste what it tastes like to work in Osaka and maybe in a tech firm or an engineering firm. And again, taking that first step into what could be a very successful career in Japan. And right now is as good of a time as any, again, with that huge need for foreign labor and foreign workers. And specifically talking about Osaka, one of the big reasons I like to tell people why they should intern in an area like Osaka, Japan, is the ability to what I call stand at the forefront of innovation. So Japan as a nation is one that is constantly seeking to innovate, constantly trying to create the biggest and best next best thing. So interning in Osaka will allow you to kind of step into an engineering firm or green tech firm or healthcare provider and really experience what it means to try to be at the forefront of these innovative companies and witness what could be groundbreaking work. Maybe the next Apple or the next Tesla are out there being developed right now. And so if you're somebody who wants to experience that in a startup or even a large corporation, obviously the Osaka is a wonderful choice for that. And going back on that point about whether it's a startup or a global company, basically in Osaka, our team in Osaka is actually able to facilitate you, whether you're looking for a startup company, maybe a small to medium enterprise, which, as you can see by this text here, about 99% of the companies in Japan are actually in that small to medium range. We also have numerous placements in large national or multinational corporations. So this is something that you could discuss with your admissions advisor when you have your admissions call. If you are somebody who's very keen on wanting to experience the startup culture or the corporate culture, these are things that we can then pass along to our Osaka team and see if we can focus in on the specific size company for you. And of course, Osaka does have such a variety, so there's a lot of excellent placements to be had for internships in Osaka. And another point that's interesting is doing an internship in a city like Osaka is going to allow you a chance to discover what is known as wa, which basically translates to harmony. The concept of wa in Japanese culture kind of stresses the notion of respecting others and regarding others and that peaceful unity, respecting nature, things like that. And this is something that is very deeply rooted in the culture of Japan. It dictates about a lot of how a lot of Japanese people live their lives. Trying to kind of find that inner peace, that inner harmony, which I personally think that many of us tend to overlook in our busy lives. So completing an internship in Osaka, getting to experience that culture that puts so much stress on this inner harmony could allow you a really great chance to kind of take a step back and see, more perspective on the world and see how a lot of the stresses that we add to our lives every single day may not actually be necessary. And just another fascinating aspect of the Japanese culture that you can experience if you complete your internship there. And of course, as I did mention before, Osaka is very appropriately referred to as Japan's kitchen. So while you're in Osaka, of course, I would personally encourage you to try all of the foods you can. What you'll see in this photo is what's known as shabu shabu, which is basically when servers bring out a variety of different meats and veggies and large hot pots of broth or soy sauce, and you're able to actually dip the veggies and meat in these pots of broth and cook them pretty quickly. There's also things such as okonomiyaki, which I would kind of compare to like a Japanese pancake. You have takoyaki, which are those octopus balls made of batter and little pieces of octopus. Yakiniku, ramen, of course, a lot of people know ramen, and it's obviously one of the staples of Japan. And of course, above all, probably sushi. So many wonderful morsels to take part in and try while you're in Osaka and kind of experiencing why it is actually called Japan's kitchen. And of course, another excellent draw is the ability to experience ancient history. Osaka has a lot of history in the kind of vast history of Japan. Again, that area, very historical. Basically, you have kind of the Osaka, Kyoto, Nara region, which is home to some of the oldest gardens, temples, and shrines in all of Japan. Kyoto and Nara are basically the two neighboring prefectures, which are both a short 40-minute train ride from Osaka. In this photo here, you'll see what's known as the Fushimi Inari Shrine, located in Kyoto. It's actually a shrine that composes of hundreds of these orange torii gate, goes all the way up around a mountain. It takes about 2 hours to complete the entire pilgrimage along the entire shrine. So a bunch of wonderful, wonderful places. You can go to the Nara Deer Park, very famous location. The Monkey Park is right next door to there in Arashiyama in Kyoto. So a lot of excellent places to see in Osaka, Kyoto, Nara, and of course spending your weekends and time off wisely going to see these wonderful sites. And of course, the ability to take part in Japanese traditions. This is something that our program team in Osaka puts a lot of emphasis on, working to facilitate a variety of fun events, such as what you'll see in this photo, which is a drum lesson. So you'll see all of the interns are wearing the traditional happy coat festival gear. You'll also see in this photo, they are partaking in tea ceremony. So this is another interesting Japanese tradition. A lot of intricacies surrounding this particular practice. The ceremonial garb that's worn, who speaks, the words that are spoken before the tea is served. Excellent kind of opportunities to connect further with the Japanese culture and take part in some really fascinating activities that you might have a little bit of difficulty with if you were to try and plan these on your own. So that was kind of Osaka in general. Now what we would like to do is jump into more specifically our internship program details. And of course, as I did say before, if there's anything that I missed about Osaka or anything that after the presentation's over, you noticed that I didn't touch on, please feel free to put them in the chat. I will be able to check it before I finish up the presentation and I can address those questions. So the first, I guess it would just to briefly describe what's included in our program fee. So you will notice that with all of our programs, there is a tuition associated with them. That tuition is going to cover a variety of things. Of course, the guaranteed internship placement in one of those three sectors. Visa processing, we also do provide you with fully furnished accommodation for the duration of your stay. Airport pickup services, cultural events, business seminars, which we'll talk about a little bit more in a moment. And of course, 24/7 emergency support on the ground. Our full program team is with you to help with anything you may need. We also have a live-in staff member in the accommodation that's there for you if any emergencies do arise. And basically kind of going through that. So airport pickup, so our team in Osaka will come and pick you up from the airport, bring you back to the accommodation when you arrive to just try and alleviate all the confusion. We also, again, provide you with fully furnished accommodation. Induction day, so when everybody does arrive the following day, we have kind of our big induction day welcome ceremony to speak to you more about living in Osaka, the culture with your internship, things that might be beneficial to you, and of course facilitating any questions or information you may need for your time there. First day drop off, so we do also take you to your internship on your first day. This is basically to ensure that everybody gets to where they need to be. Of course, ensuring that you find your supervisor in your office correctly, so we will take you there on your first day. And of course, in addition to those cultural events that I did talk about earlier, we also facilitate a number of volunteer and community outreach events. So, of course, while you will be living in, say, Osaka for several months, you will be living as a member of that community. We do want to give you the opportunity to give back to that community if you are interested. So things like maybe volunteering at a food bank or volunteering with a community cleanup, just kind of an example of things we've done to, again, help benefit that community and, of course, feel good about ourselves and know that we're doing a good thing and helping a great group of people in the process. And in addition, again, cultural events. So this is a photo of our group who was making soba, so cutting the traditional buckwheat noodles with the large cleaver. And there's a couple of our interns there. And also, in addition to those cultural events and also those volunteer events, we do have a variety of business seminars, networking events, things to help you try and focus in more on the business landscape of Osaka. Maybe we'll bring in a group of tech entrepreneurs or go to visit a large economics corporation or finance corporation, just kind of things to, again, better connect you in more of a business focus. So in terms of in-country support, talking about our program team on the ground in, say, Osaka, what the programming team in Osaka essentially does to help you throughout your program. As you are going through the admissions process, you will be working with someone like myself who's an admissions advisor, and then we do basically put you into the very capable hands of our programming team. So like I said before, facilitating a variety of events and networking events and opportunities, providing emergency support. Of course, if anything were to happen, if you get sick, you go to the hospital, we have those there to help you. And of course, weekly drop-in sessions, our team does try to connect with the interns at least once a week just to hear about how your internship is going and, of course, facilitate any problems or issues you might be having. And this is kind of just a brief overview of the application process. It's very kind of simple in terms of going on our website. You will fill out our very brief application, choosing your sector choices, your locations. And of course, we encourage you to read more about the dates and the programs and the prices just so that you are prepared going into that next step, which is the advising session. So during that, you will speak with someone like myself, who is an admissions advisor. We will take you through a lot of the information pertaining specifically to your location of interest. So in this case, if it's Osaka, we'll talk a lot about the placement opportunities, discussing your interests, what you would like to get out of the program, and especially, of course, talking about the types of companies that you'd be looking for. And we can kind of talk more about that. We basically then will review with our team and essentially send you a admissions offer. And as you go through and you've submitted the proper payments, we will then hand it over to our placement team in, say, Osaka, who facilitates the process of collaborating with companies on your behalf and eventually placing you and confirming you in a company before you actually arrive in Osaka. This is just a brief graphic of the sectors that we offer. We offer 14 in total. You can also review these on our website. And in filling out your application, we ask you to choose a first choice, a second choice, and a third choice. And through our program, we do 100% guarantee you an internship in one of those three. And of course, putting a lot of our effort towards your first choice if that is something that you'd like us to do. So with Osaka specifically, there are a lot of sectors. Of course, again, we can facilitate all sectors, but three that really kind of stand out would be engineering, technology, and also green technology. So an example of maybe an engineering placement could be working in a robotics company, maybe helping to assist with modeling and doing hardware and even maybe developing a prototype. Maybe they'll give you, say, a 2-month project for you to develop schematics and prototypes for their robotics company, and then reviewing and presenting your findings and your innovations to your team, your manager. Maybe in a technology firm, maybe an Osaka-based IT company, you're designing and implementing HTML templates or doing some coding or running some software programs, some data analytics, things like that. And of course, green technology is another huge sector in Osaka. A lot of focus put on things like smart grid, energy and renewable energy, emissions reduction, maybe supporting kind of an engineering administrative role, or even marketing or technology or things like that. Variety of placements in these types of sectors. But again, we are open to all options. And essentially, just to briefly review the payment process, basically what we do is we take that total program price, which will vary depending on your location and also your duration of stay, because again, since we do provide you with accommodation, the price is going to fluctuate on your duration of stay. We split that up into 3 simple steps. The first is what we call the the acceptance fee, which is essentially a $500 deposit due within 1 week of you receiving your acceptance decision from us. This $500 is standard across all of our programs. It essentially guarantees you a spot on your CRCC Asia program. For example, if you do submit that acceptance fee and you decide to change your location, you are still able to do that. Once you pay the first installment, you are actually then locked into that specific date and also that location. Because when you submit the first installment, which is about half of your total program tuition after paying that acceptance fee, the first installment basically enables our team on the ground to begin that process of placing you at a company. So we will give it to our Osaka team. They will then again be collaborating with companies and looking for an excellent placement for you. They actually cannot begin that process until they receive that first installment payment. And then once that's been done, once you've been all confirmed with a company and you're essentially good to go, we then ask for what's called the final payment within 1 week of that placement confirmation, which is essentially the rest of the tuition you owe towards the program. And of course, there are a lot of benefits, again, of partaking in an international internship through a provider such as CRCC Asia. Trying to find an internship in a foreign country can provide present numerous challenges. One of the most obvious ones would be a language barrier. You might not be able to speak the language. You might be unfamiliar to the application process or the hiring process. You might not have any connections, and your resume might not stand out at all in comparison to the hundreds of other applications that might be applying for the same internship or position you are. And of course, visa issues, things like that, getting a sponsorship, these are things that can present a lot of problems for you. So a provider like CRCC Asia, we already have the network built on the ground in all of our locations. We pick you up from the airport. We already set you up with accommodation. We get your visa processed and supported. All of that is taken care of by us, depending on your citizenship. We, again, have that full program team, that emergency support system on the ground, network, business contacts. So as you can see, there are numerous benefits to using a provider like CRCC Asia, kind of helping to eliminate a lot of the headache and difficulties that might arise of you trying to plan this type of program by yourself. So that really does kind of conclude our overview of our Osaka program. I am looking in the chat right now. It doesn't look like we have any questions. So what I